What's up guys, it's Lord Botha here with another video, and gaming price increases have long been suspected, and with the Switch 2, they were solidified by Nintendo announcing that they were making games $80.
Here comes the money!
Here we go, money talk.
Here comes the money!
Some physical copy games are even more than that, despite the fact that those physical copy games most of the time aren't actually physical copies anymore. They're an empty box with a download key.
So you get nothing!
And when Nintendo decided to do this, the other consoles followed suit pretty quick, with both Xbox and PlayStation announcing price increases to their games. Xbox was particularly interesting, especially announcing the fact that their games were going to be $80 standard, especially their first-party games, companies that are actually owned by Microsoft. It's particularly interesting because the first game that was listed at $80 for Microsoft and for Xbox, that new standardized price, was a strange one to do so because it honestly just doesn't feel like an $80 game.
Weird.
Or at least the first one didn't, because this one is actually a sequel, and it was, of course, The Outer Worlds 2. Yes, The Outer Worlds 2 was announced as Xbox's first $80 game standard.
Oh, that's not right.
Which had pretty much the entire gaming industry raising their eyebrows at least for Xbox. That their first $80 game was going to come from a company that seems to be shrinking in terms of their popularity and the actually good games that they're able to produce, that being Obsidian. And with the failure that was Avowed, and yes, Avowed is a failure, it's looking more and more apparent that Obsidian needs to get a win out of Outer Worlds 2.
We all want money.
And if they don't, well, they could be in serious financial trouble.
I declare bankruptcy!
Which is the exact place you don't want to be when you're a studio that was just recently resurrected from the dead. But as such, there was immediate backlash to the idea of Outer Worlds 2 being an $80 game. And now, well, it looks like they're reversing course. Because this comes from the official Outer Worlds account, Dear Galactic Citizens. It's always so cutesy when they pretend to be the actual in-game voice, right? Try not to break kayfabe on a game that nobody probably really cares about breaking kayfabe on.
Man, you corny!
But they state, we have received your SOS via Skip Drone about the pricing. As an organization devoted to making sure that corporations do not go unfettered, we at the Earth Directorate have worked with Redacted to revise the price of The Outer Worlds 2. Redacted there being Microsoft. While this will not bring peace to the galaxy or even your local colony, we assure you all that we are here to fight for all colonies in every way that we can. From the office of the Director of the Earth Directorate, and they announced there that the pre-order price has dropped from $79.99 to $69.99. That's right, everyone. They decreased the price.
Gotcha, bitch!
Because they realized really quick from the backlash now that people were not going to spend $80 on The Outer Worlds 2. The Outer Worlds is a bit like, I don't know, it's a bit like Superman 2025, the recent James Gunn Superman movie. That's what the first Outer Worlds felt like. It felt like something new from something that you loved in the past, and you kept waiting for the moment in the sun for it, and for it to get really, really good and engrossing, and it just kind of never did. This is also a little bit of a tease for a Superman video that I'm also doing.
I don't care!
But that really is kind of what Outer Worlds felt like. It felt like a mid-game. It felt like a 6, 7 out of 10. It literally felt like how IGN describes all of their 7 out of 10 games. This would be the one game where IGN would be like, this is a 7 out of 10 for all these reasons. And I'd probably be like, yeah, pretty much. The point here is that based on the first game, there was absolutely no way that the sequel to that game deserved to be a higher price, especially $80. And it was quite clear that nobody is going to purchase Outer Worlds for that price, especially again in the age of Expedition 33, a game that was massively financially successful, an absolute masterpiece that is almost a guarantee for Game of the Year, and did it all with a very small number of devs on a not ridiculous budget and only charged $50 for the full game.
Yes, yes.
Yes! Video games are back!
And there was a large swath of the audience that tried the game on Game Pass, really liked it and respected it for what it was, and ended up buying the game in full later. Because the devs, the indie devs who are actually getting that money, deserve that win. And to go along with that, you can have a massively successful game, both in popularity and financially, at $50. We have a very poignant post here from Oh No It's Alex, who states, if they can get enough pushback to lower the price back to $70, then there's enough pushback to lower the price to $60.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Don't let corpos get away with it. And he is right. The fact that they lowered the price from $80 to $70 means that $80 wasn't wholly necessary. It was just add-on. Because if they could find some way to absolutely justify the cost of charging that extra $10, they definitely would do so. But the truth is, they're selling it at less now because they didn't actually need that extra $10 to make up costs. They needed it to pad their profits. They needed it because they wanted more money.
Give it a gas!
And the truth is, if they manage their budgets right, manage their staffing right, and, this one is a shocker, made good games that people actually craved, wanted, and went out and bought in droves, then they could sell their game at $60 or even $50. And they'd have more sales with lower overhead, and they'd make money hand over fist. But they don't want to do that. What they actually seem to want to do is make an inferior product with terribly balanced budgets, massive amounts of staffing that they don't need, at an increased price to consumer to try to fleece as much money out of an already dwindling, priced out audience.
I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
Because these price increases aren't actually going to be what kills higher end games. Super high end games are going to be bought at really high prices. GTA 6 probably going to be $100, and everybody's probably going to be at least accepting the fact that they're going to have to pay that. And they're going to pay that because it's GTA 6. And there are always going to be bargain basement indies for $10, $20. What these price increases really do is actually kill the mid games, which that's what the Outer Worlds is. It's a mid game. It's mid in the way it feels. It's mid in the way it functions. It's mid in terms of the storytelling. It's mid in terms of the audience that it really kind of appeals to. And so it should have mid pricing. But because that studio is owned by a massive publisher, they want to treat it like it's a AAA game, instead of what Obsidian games really are, which is high-end AA games, and as such should have high-end AA prices around $50 to $60. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that, and while they did lower the price by $10 on this game, you can rest assured that there are going to be plenty more games that come out from various studios that are owned and ran by Microsoft, or the same by Sony, and definitely from Nintendo, and we are not going back anytime soon unless the complaints continue to be there and only rise in intensity. And not to be a little black-pilled, but I don't think that's really going to happen. So this is the new reality in gaming pricing. And the new reality is that middling games from major studios are probably dead as an option. However, no one loves the prospect of that more than the indie scene. And to be quite honest, I'd way rather invest in the indie scene and see new development from new companies than the same guys over and over again just rehashing the same old ideas. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go and leave in the comments. If you like this video, go and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.